In today's call review, we are going over Velko's call. Now, Velko, last year, he made $50K in a month. He's a fantastic closer, but there's definitely some things that we're looking at in today's call that could potentially take him from $50K onwards and upwards past that. Now, this is a $35K deal. It's with a sophisticated prospect. There's a lot to go through, a lot to unpack. But before we do, if you are like Velko and you'd like your calls reviewed like this, hit the link down in the description below to join the Sales Dojo, where you can get access to all of this and so much more. Now, let's get into the video. All right, cool. Well, if you guys are ready, then let's get into it. Velko, you game to get started?
100%. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to go through some things. But before we do, Velko, will you just fill everybody in as to what's your offer? What is it that you're selling? Who are you kind of talking to? And maybe even some background on the call, like what you know before the call or what you feel like you'd like to take a look at specifically in the call, anything like that.
Okay. So first of all, to give more context on what I am selling, it is an option trading offer, but very specifically more inclined towards already experienced option traders that have been stuck and want to get better. We've been getting a lot of inflow of newer people, so now we're trying to create something for them. But for the longest time, we are looking for people that have been trading 1, 2, 3 years, stuck. Let's unstuck them, or people that are doing good, let's make them do even better. Ideal avatar is a person that, again, has been trading, hasn't had the best success. We are there to help. But as you can imagine, the target audience being a less common one, not being as simple as, hey, let's take a person that doesn't know how to trade up to trading, the prospects can get difficult or complicated. Somebody has traded, somebody hasn't, somebody has not, somebody has no idea what this more advanced strategy that we do is. So a lot of stuff. Then this specific prospect you guys are going to see now is an example of a good prospect with the only difficulty of him being very well off. And then a lot of closers are going to say, I can't find pain, which I like to argue in certain case scenarios isn't important. It's maybe important to have a person feel pain through them feeling like a donkey of leaving money on the table. You can ask Bill Gates, hey, brother, would you be angry if you missed out on 500 billion? He would say, yes, I'd be fuming, right? So I'm going off track. This specific prospect that you're seeing is more that type of a prospect. And I knew absolutely nothing before he jumped on the call because he wasn't picking up phone calls, wasn't looking at text. And he jumped on with his son, who helped him connect on the Zoom, who is also like a weird part of the call because I'm like, he's going to give me an objection. He wants to talk to him by the end of this to get out of this, isn't he? But then at the same time, he's not relevant enough for me to ask him on his opinion on everything. So you guys are going to see an interesting dynamic in a close that in a call that I have failed. And you guys are going to see the mistakes that I made that led up to that fail and little slip-ups that I had in objection handling, whatever Christian wants to show, whatever he kind of prepped. But this is kind of like context. If you think I gave more context, Christian, if not, I can give more.
I think that's great. Let's hop into it. We're going to start where we went for the close and work our way forward from there.
Get all this.
All right.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, I would say, what I would like to do is I would like to think about it for a day, and then we'll go from there. But I could see where it could benefit me a lot.
Can you give me an example when you say you can see it benefiting you a lot? How can you see that happening?
Well, I could see where you could pay this thing back pretty quick if you were consistent with it. But my goal would be to be done with you guys in a month, to be honest with you.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, anybody would think that if you could get it done and not spend $35,000, I would say that anybody would think that.
Can I give you my perspective?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't look at this as spending money at all. I look at it as investing in your knowledge and investing in your personal growth, right?
Well, that's why I would consider doing the 5, to see how it goes, and then from there you would, if it's working out, then you could maybe continue going on. No.
Solid. So one thing I've noticed, just so far, is this guy seems like a very risk-averse type of person. There's a lot of different ways that you can profile people in order to understand how their brain works and how they make decisions. But one of the big ones, really big ones, especially when it comes to, really selling anything, but especially I feel like coaching and anything dealing with financials, is this person the type of person who just wants to jump both feet in and just go for it, hit it out of the park the first time? Or are they somebody who would rather be what I call a toe dipper? Where, you all have seen these types of people, right? Where they walk up to the edge of the pool and rather than just jumping in, they dip their toe in the water for a second. They're like, I don't know how cold it is. And like they want a proven result before they move forward with things. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
This is 100% one of those types of guys, at least the way that he's operating right now. You can change this over the course of the call, but this is how he is right now. Belko?
I wanted to ask, I can imagine some ways, but I want to hear your perspective. How would
Mhm.
you, let's say the call starts or you're talking to a person, you're trying to find out what type of person they are. What type of questions or cues or probes would you go for to find out are they a toe dipper or a full bomb diver?
All the same usual discovery questions that you're used to asking. You'll just notice it in the words they say, how they look at things, what they value versus what they don't value. I'll show it to you when we go back through into discovery. But
Mhm.
so far, you can tell just in the way that he's talking about this,
Mhm.
he could say, if I could get it done and not spend 35,000, that's just general value. But when he says, let's see, where did he say the 5,000? I feel like that just
Yeah, I mean anybody would think that if you could get it done and say and not spend 35,000, I would say that anybody would think that.
Can I give you my perspective?
Here it
Well,
is.
that's why I would consider doing the 5, to see how it goes. And
So you can tell just in his language. That's why I would consider doing the 5. It's not like that's why let's just fucking get it done, right? Like I'm all in, let's do it. Or if they feel like maybe they don't have the confidence to go all in, then they will tell you that they want to. Anytime they do something in their life, they jump in 2 feet. But in order to do that, they need confidence that they feel like they're lacking or whatever. But right here saying I would consider doing the 5 grand to see how it goes. And then, if it's working out, then we could maybe continue going on. So it's very much so just like toe dipper in everything that he's saying.
then,
We'll keep
and
going.
then from there, you would, if it's working out, then you could maybe continue going on. No, I'll tell you what, I see people investing a lot of money for businesses that are a lot more risky than this, to be honest with you.
Exactly. It's
Like
like what
my-
you're telling you. Yeah. What you're telling you.
My nephew-in-law, I mean, he's built a bunch of car washes, and I mean he borrows a lot of money to do that.
I would probe into that
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure. Car washes depend. You can get one for like 100K if it's a shit car wash, but if you do like a real modern tunnel system kind of car wash, it's like $3 million to put into it to just barely even cash flow at all, if anything. Usually it's more so for the real estate, but yeah.
We show you that on your 200 grand, they can make you 15, 20.
My nephew-in-law, I mean, he's built a bunch of car washes, and I mean he borrows a lot of money to do that.
Yeah.
Why not just do something like that?
What it's about doing here is you doing this to another standard, right? Because like even you investing $5,000, $35,000, whatever the case is, even with you making that commitment, you're like putting it in the ground saying, okay, this is it. This is the breaking point. From here on, I'm taking it more seriously.
Correct.
Right? Even making that initial step, making that initial investment is like you saying, making it about yourself. Okay, I'm going to make this money back and more. I'm going to walk away from this as a winner, as a person that knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
And when I asked you, where do you think that this would be beneficial? We went off on a tangent on a different conversation. Can you tell me that? Like when you said you can see this being of benefit, where do you think exactly?
Good.
Well, I think if I could generate that much money consistently, that's a good business. It's a super business. So I mean, and it's worth it.
And you have it on your fingertips. It's just about utilizing it. You have the time, you have the capital. Only thing you need is the dedication and the strategy. And you're
I just need to tweak it a little bit what I'm doing already.
Exactly.
Oh,
you need to tweak it a bit more, but yeah, it's fine.
Be very careful with traders, Velka. You probably know this better than potentially anybody else in this room. There's something called the trader's curse. The trader's curse is that every trader, every single one pretty much, believes that they are just one tweak away from being able to make it. Whatever quote unquote make it is, right? Do you guys know where that comes from? Have you heard that sort of thing before in some other realm of life? If I can just get this one thing down, then I'll be set. Any of you ever been to a casino? There's one game, I can turn it around. Just one win, I can turn it. Like traders are gamblers. It's the same exact triggers in the brain that create a trader, someone who's addicted to trading versus somebody who's addicted to gambling. It's the idea that like you pull the slot machine over and over and over, and then once in a while you get a big hit, you get a win. And then you pull it once, you pull it again and again and again, and maybe you lose more money than you make. But people still consistently go to the slot machines, don't they? Why? It's for the hope of that win. It's for the hope of that. I would bet, I haven't seen the rest of this call, Velka, you can tell me, but I bet this guy is inconsistent with his trading, and he only gets one win every once in a while, and he probably just kind of wings it the entire time.
Yeah, right. The biggest thing, and once you see the discovery, is just him winging everything, not really caring too much.
Yeah, exactly. That's how traders are. And that's how a lot of people are in the rest of their life. You ever seen a salesperson like that? You ever been that person, right? This is just human beings. This is how the brain works. And so if you can understand that, especially for trading, it's very close to the same mindset of gambling, then you can bring that into the conversation in proper ways and help people reframe from just being a gambler to being the casino. It's a big shift. All right, let's take a look. Let's keep going so far. One thing I'm noticing, Velko, I'd like to ask you a question about this later, but I'm going to let it keep going for now. In objection handling, whenever he gives you pushback, you lean in. And with this type of personality, I might not necessarily do that. So when he said, for example, it's a super business. I mean, it's worth it. You have it on your fingertips. Then you leaned in. You're like, yes, you're right. It's all about utilizing the time, the strategy. You have capital, blah, blah, blah. You need dedication. When he said, where did he say it? I'll tell you, people are investing a lot of money in other businesses. You like affirmed him in what he's saying, right? Yeah, exactly. What it's about is, doing here another standard. So like you're leaning in and you're agreeing with him quite a bit. I would be careful of doing that. Especially in objection handling and especially with this type of personality. So we'll come back to that.
And when I asked you, where do you think this would be beneficial, you went off on
It's a super business. So
just about utilizing it. You have the time, you have the capital. Only thing you need is the dedication and the strategy. And you're
I just need to tweak it a little bit what I'm doing already.
Exactly. You need to tweak it a bit more, but yeah, it's fine. A little bit or a bit more, that's the same thing. What do you think of this conversation, Brian? I know it's interesting. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely see the benefit of kind of tracking everything and really getting organized.
I think the big thing that we're missing is so far, and we'll come back to see it. One big thing that I feel like we're missing is the identity shift. And closers will get into trouble when they start believing that somebody who has a lot of success doesn't need or want an identity shift, if that makes sense. So, for example, you see somebody who is making lots of money, they're successful in their life, maybe older in their years, etc. And you might think, oh, well, this person just wants like a little bit of extra upside. But more often than not, in order to get a little bit of extra upside, you need an identity shift. So let's say like this guy, it sounds like is going from being inconsistent and kind of just like dabbling to wanting to consistently make money with trades. Is that right, Velko?
Yes, correct.
Okay, fantastic. So for somebody who wants to go from being a dabbler to being consistent, that's a big identity shift. Huge. You can't just like implement a system with a dabbler and they make money with it. That's not the way that it works. It would be like saying somebody who goes to the gym and dabbles at the gym, you give them a system to use to work out. Do you think automatically they're going to be like a bodybuilder? Like it's not even close. Not only do you need to have the system, yes, but you also need to level up your level of intentionality, your level of consistency, your level of discipline, your level of desire to even be fit. Like all those sorts of things need to come into play. And so that's that identity shift. So it's not necessarily that like this person wants an identity shift. I would say this guy, knowing his personality, would be scared of an identity shift. 100%. Because he's a toe dipper. He doesn't like change. He wants to like try things a little bit before he goes big. So you got to be careful of that. But what he does want is a little extra upside. And you've probably already gotten him to the point where he knows he needs more discipline. He knows he needs more consistently. But it almost sounds like the way that you're talking in objection handling so far, as if this system that we give you helps with that, which it may. But it's not everything. And there's an identity level that's deeper that needs to shift that will be the ignition point for all of this other stuff, if that makes sense. We're missing that level. It feels like we're a little surface level, but let's see where things go.
You don't track much.
No, I don't track any.
Yeah.
Anything else that you would kind of see as a benefit, Brian, of Tim making a step of this nature?
You have a really high level of confidence, Velko, and just like your demeanor is very grounded, which is fantastic. That's helping you a lot with this guy, especially, I bet.
Well, I don't know. I guess
And
maybe
bringing in his son,
focus, discipline on it.
is it?
That'd probably be good.
Yes,
I think that's good.
having something to look forward to and say, hey, this is what I'm following. This is what I have to do tomorrow. This is what I have to do next week. I'm checking in with Matt again in a week. By then, he's going to see that I do these trades. Did I set up this portfolio, et cetera, et cetera. Right. The thing is,
yeah, I would say that I am definitely interested in doing it, but I don't know what you're looking for right now. I would like to give it a little bit of thought before I commit. I don't want to commit right now to you right now.
As long as you commit, that's most important. You're going to do it now or in a day, it doesn't change anything for me nor you, correct?
Correct.
So what I want to ask you, Tim, is overall the commitment and giving it the thought. What do you think could stir you away from doing this? Because that's an important conversation to have as well.
I think I'm kind of leaning towards doing it, to be honest.
It's very good. With these types of people, you don't necessarily want to ask yes set questions at the close. You want to ask no based questions. So if they're a toe dipper, you don't want to ask, all right, you ready to jump in the pool? Like, fuck that shit. They're going to say that every single time. But if instead you ask, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to jump in the pool? Are there any red flags that you can see that would stop you or that would harm you jumping into the pool? Like, no, it feels reasonably warm. And they'll start talking themselves into it. Versus if you have somebody who is an all-in type of person, yes, absolutely, just like fucking go for it. But for this type of person who's a toe dipper, more risk averse, go for the no-based close rather than the yes-based close. Does that make sense, Velko?
It does, yes.
Okay, good.
Honest with you.
I know, but whenever a person leans towards
They
it,
need to talk themselves into it. That's like what a toe dipper is. They generally can't be talked into things, nor do they want to be talked into things. They want to talk themselves into it.
something is pulling them back from falling into it, right? There's a difference between leaning to it and completely dipping in.
No, I know that. I've been doing this long enough, and I know my shortcomings on it. And I thought it'd be nice if I could, make it a lot better. And this might just, committing to that 5,000
talking himself into it
might make me, focus on it a lot more. Right.
Yeah. That's the way that I look at it as well, right? Nobody likes shoving money over. Nobody likes shoving over hard-earned money. That's the thing that's going to sting you on your skin. And it's not just that you're doing that. Like, that's just the first step. Then on top of that, you get the systemized approach, et cetera, everything that comes with it. Actually working with a professional, right? And you don't need me to ask you, do you think it's better for you to keep doing the same thing you've been doing for the previous 10, 15 years or to do something with us? Like, I know
that's why I'm here. That's why
exactly.
I'm here. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I want to ask you, what do you think could drive you away? Because that's basically what's going to be happening in this time that you're taking to think it, right? You're leaning towards it because every single indication is telling you, hey, it's smart for me to start doing this more seriously with these guys. But every minute and moment that you take of not doing it, there's a possibility for you to lean back to what you've been doing. What do you think that?
I think if you had left out all of that second bit and just gone with the question, you'd be better off. Because that's basically what's happening in this time when you think about it. Like, just leave all of that out and just say, what are the red flags?
When
what would
he
be the reasons why you wouldn't want to do something like this?
Just give him more space to keep talking himself into it, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. And when he talks, he'll bring up objections. That's the key that are different than think about it. Like, what are the reasons why you wouldn't do something like this? Or you could even separate further. What are the reasons that somebody like you wouldn't do something like this? Right? Super low pressure allows him to just open up for a second and think about why somebody like him wouldn't do something like this, bring up his objections to his mind. And then either you can handle them or you can help him handle it.
Making a step of this nature?
Sometimes they'll just handle it themselves.
Well, I don't know.
I can't think of anything, to be honest with you.
Healthy skepticism of an internet course, maybe.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Fair, Brian. There you go.
There you go.
Came from Brian. Yep.
Yeah. And that's a good point, because even in that case scenario, if it takes an internet course for you to be more focused on something, give it a good shot, start tracking it, work with professionals, skepticism of an internet course is never going to go away. Right? Like, it's not like tomorrow we're going to become real life people. I'm going to shake your hand, give you a pat on the back and say, let's go, buddy. Right?
Yes, correct.
And it's like, as you know, everything that's done coaching wise, etc., is done online now at this point. Right? It's not like you can go and find me at a school next to you or Matt.
Right.
So then it's like, is it worth to have skepticism?
Easy question you can ask there, Velko, when somebody says like something like that, that's just kind of stupid. Like, oh, it's an online course. What's the alternative? You want to go to an in-person school for trading? Like, you want to move somewhere and go to school for 4 years?
Yeah. Skepticism of an internet course stop you from exploring the potential that you could have with your portfolio?
Well, I think I'm skeptical, but I'm open-minded, and I do see the benefit if this solves my problem.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
I see a big benefit to it.
Yeah, because if we let this skepticism hold us back, where does that leave us?
Right.
In the same spot, right? I don't want you guys to think that I'm going to sit here and tell you, oh, woohoo, there's no skepticism. There is, and I know there is, but that's an exact thing that has to be jumped over, right? And being extremely frank with you, even by the way I speak, I hope you guys can tell I'm trying as hard as I can to be. It's like, if we have skepticism hold us back once, let's say today, what would not hold us back from it tomorrow, the day after, etc.? Because these are things that don't change. Only thing that could remove internet skepticism is, as I said, if I jump through the screen and shake your hand. That's not going to happen, right? I'm not cursed.
Well, you know what? I mean, there's risk in a lot of things, and I mean, it's okay to take a risk.
Exactly. In anything in life. This also goes back to that weird grim saying that I mentioned. Everybody wants to go to heaven, nobody wants to die, right?
Right. I mean, the thing is
I will say something else that you can use, Velko, with traders especially, is the idea of managing risk and knowing how to make decisions in risk. I would bet that a lot of the people that you get on calls with don't know how to manage their losing trades.
Yeah, nobody knows.
So they don't know how to manage risk. They don't know how to work through risk. They don't know how to make decisions that are potentially risky, but manage the levels of risk with it, right? Hence why they're struggling with that in the first place. And so if that's the case, if you're talking about this fact that like everything is risky and blah, 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 that's fine. But something that might be really helpful for you on this offer is learning how to manage the risky trades and using that as your analogy in order to make a risky decision at the end of the call. Does that make sense? So like you can legit go into the program, ask Matt how he actually manages losing trades and how he manages risk, how he mitigates it, and then use that as a teaching moment. So it appeases their logical brain in the moment in the objection handling, but then also you tie that into now making a risky decision with this. And, like this is insane, by the way. This offer that you can come in for a trial for what, 5K on like 35K offer, that's fucking amazing. Like I don't know anywhere else that does that. So that's really cool. You should leverage that if
that's the only way I made the 50K month. I just crushing that literally.
So yeah, I would use that. I would learn how Matt talks about that and see if you can bring that into the objection handling a bit and just realize in your head, like connect the dots that these people that you're talking to can't manage risk. Like that's why they're in the position that they're in. So the conversation should not necessarily be about like how to manage risk per se, but allowing them to see that how they have been managing risk doesn't fucking work clearly. And so they need to find a new way to manage risk. Here's what we teach our students. You're welcome to run with that if you'd like, but what that means for you here and now is what? And then you kind of walk them through what the decision is now. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay, fantastic.
Wait a second, the ticker you were mentioning doing not so long ago, it was going up and down and up and down. You don't even understand that ticker so well, and maybe you put 20, 30, 40, 50 grand into it, and now it's jumping up and down and up and down, and you're like, God knows what's going to happen tomorrow when it expires, right?
Right.
And it's like just like anything in life, even like an even better example, all the Fortune 500 companies, back in the 2000s, the bubble events, the black swans, everything that was striking them then. Only people that made it through that are people who made it through that time of uncertainty, through the time of the risks. As extreme of an example as it is, right?
Well, I made it through all that.
Yeah, there you go. You're alive. You're kicking. You're screaming.
Yeah, I made it through it all.
I think this risk is much smaller than the risks you were taking back then.
Well, that's right, and and that's
okay. Cool. So I think I've seen what I need to in objection handling. All of this would be solved with that first point that I mentioned, Velko, which is the identity shift. So this guy right now is in a headspace where he is afraid of risk. And so therefore he believes the best risk management strategy is just to have as little of it as possible at any given time and then test it. And if it works out, then maybe do a little bit more. If it works out, then do a little bit more. And it's an okay way to go through life, but it means that you'll never be able to take advantage of the big opportunities in life because the big opportunities only ever look like risk ahead of you, but they look like opportunity in the rearview mirror. Like that's pretty universally accepted. There's quotes about that you can look up. This guy, we need that identity shift from somebody who is dabbling at trading and therefore dabbles in risk to somebody who is a serious trader who takes serious risk. That's how you win, and that's how you achieve that consistency and that discipline rather than like some system that we give you. Yes, the system will help, but it won't help somebody who's afraid to take risk. So like as an example, I pulled up on my other screen here and I'm going to read it through to you guys. I will sometimes, very rarely now, I used to do it more, I will sometimes write sales pitches for offers. And I will charge an offer $50K to write a sales pitch. And what it does is pretty fucking incredible, if I do say so myself. It leverages a lot of things that I don't have time to go through on this call. But one part of it is the incentive-based pricing section. Velko, I want to give this to you because I feel like it's something that will help you. And everybody else, I want you to listen closely on how this is done. I'm just going to read it through and then I'm going to open it up for questions. All right, let me stop sharing real quick because this is really important. And Velko, I bet this will close you a lot more deals. All right, so this is after you've kind of done the whole pitch, you've done the disclaimer, you've done the temp check, all that kind of good stuff. But the incentive-based pricing is something like, we offer incentive-based pricing. I'm reading this from an actual old script I did. I'll just sub out their name. We offer incentive-based pricing. What that means is we incentivize people on these initial calls to make a decision, and we incentivize them financially to make that decision. We do this for two different reasons. First, We found that typically our best and most successful clients are quick decision makers, not only in trading in the markets, but just in life in general as well. And number two, it saves us a tremendous amount of time on follow-up and back and forth with the guys that we've already spoken to. Now, I put this down below as like a little grayed out section. If they ask you to explain most successful clients. So first and foremost, our best and most successful clients are quick decision makers. Obviously, if you're given an incredible trade opportunity in the market, and let's say somebody takes a few hours to execute that because of some mindset leak or some limiting belief, or just because they're afraid of risk, or maybe they're just a general procrastinator, the value that they would receive inside our program would be exponentially less than the students we have that are very quick to make a decision and take action once they know they're being guided. I'll pause there. Wheels turning. Do you see how this works? If you're a trader in the market and you hesitate because you're afraid of risk, you will not make as much money as somebody who did not hesitate, right? It's huge. And it's not just like a sales tactic. That is real, right? Velko, would you agree?
I would agree. It is 100% real.
So now, resume the script. What that means financially in dollars and cents to you is that the XYZ program is blank, anytime price. That's the anytime price. So you can come back 1 day from now or 2 years from now. Price is probably going to be XYZ unless we happen to raise it. Now, as far as the incentive goes on these initial calls, we offer 2 significant price savings off of that. One option you have available to you right now is 2 payments of blank, spaced 30 days apart, which will save you XYZ amount. Or secondly, you can invest 1 single payment up front that covers you for the entire program for a one-time payment of blank, and that will save you blank off the standard price. Makes sense. And then that's it. You need to shut up after that. So basically, what we're doing is we are tying and we are training this person to behave in a way that is aligned with successful people from the get-go, starting right here, right now. What that does is you now become the success coach and not just like a salesperson, right? Because this guy, he doesn't know how to manage risk. He's been dabbling in things. If he wants to be successful in the market, he needs to know how to take risks. He knows he needs to get over that limiting belief of himself. And he also needs to understand that what he does in the market is mirrored everywhere else in his life. And that's probably a big reason why he hasn't been successful in trading. He's been successful in a lot of other areas, and you can probably bring those areas into his life. Like, what did this guy do outside of trading? Because I imagine he's not making money off of trading.
He's retired, very well off, basically. I don't remember what he did.
He do beforehand? Do you remember?
I can't. He had some good job. I don't exactly know.
Okay. Let's say he was like a C-suite exec at some company or whatever, right? Like you can probably leverage the shit out of that and remind him that in order to get to the position that he was at the end when he was making the most money, he was a completely different person than when he started, right? What was different? Have him tell you, like, he's more disciplined, he's more consistent, he knew how to like take big decisions and run with them. He was more of a leadership capacity, had more responsibility he was taking off. And so that person is completely different from the beginning one. You have to take those success principles and do the same thing as a trader in order to make more money, right?
Yeah.
That's the identity shift. And that's how you can use it, is using somebody's past experience, all right? And then I would 100% just leverage that idea of like, when you get to the close, it's not about closing the deal. It's about aligning somebody's behaviors with the behaviors of somebody who is successful inside the program. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That'll be huge. All right, let's keep going. Let's actually go to the beginning. I think I've seen what I need to see at the end. Are you clear on the ending, Velko? Any questions you have for me before we go back to the beginning?
Yes. No questions. No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's go back to the beginning.
I don't believe you're sharing right now.
Oh, thank you.
I was like,
someone has to speak up.
Thank you, Sasha. 15 gold points for Sasha.
I have Tim.
Let's go.
Brian, I'm helping with
Brian, what's up, Brian?
Right.
Albert did tell me that you're going to have him help you connect on the Zoom. That's pretty cool to have the both of you here.
Very
Yeah.
good.
What's up, guys?
Well, I was wondering what this is all about. Where are you at anyway? Where are you located at?
We are located in Denver, Colorado. Me personally, you're going to find me either in Vancouver.
I would immediately just like shoot a shot right back at him. So whenever somebody says that, I was just wondering what all this was all about. Like, You would not be on this call
Yeah, shut up.
if you didn't know what all of this was about. So immediately I'd be like, "Oh, well, it's about making more money. You wanna make more money?" And he'll, like, laugh and be like, "Ha, yeah," and then your control in the frame is back. You can ask him, "Whereabouts are you in the world?" And keep going.
Montenegro or Greece? Now I'm in Montenegro. So multiple places. For us Orthodox Christians, Christmas is on 7th of January. So every single time around this part of the year, I'm going to be in Montenegro, which is, as you can hear by the accent, originally where I'm from.
Nice. All right. Very good.
A cool little backstory for you guys. Both of you are fully clothed, or is it cold where
Little awkward. You could be a little smoother with that, but not bad.
you're at, or what's going on?
Yeah, it's we're in Western New York, and we have not seen bare ground since Thanksgiving. We've had
Alright.
snow solid since Thanksgiving.
Okay, cool stuff. I know we had this booked in for a certain amount of time, so let's try to get as much as we can out of that time. A very good reference point for me would be to understand what is the dynamic here. Albert told me, Brian, that you're going to jump on to help Tim with the tech stuff. Now, are you guys trading together in this whole trading world, or what's the dynamic between the two of you and trading?
Yeah, we'll probably be working on it together.
Probably.
And what about thus far? You guys have been kind of helping each other with the trades, or how's the kind of history?
Well, we go back and forth. I mean, Brian's my son.
He's the mastermind. I just kind of listen to his tips here and there.
All right. Which one of you trades more?
Yeah, I probably do.
Okay, because you like it more, or because you have more free time?
Well, I'm probably into it more than he is, and I've been doing it longer. But you know, I'm familiar with it all, but I have no consistency of results.
Okay, so I would immediately just like hit him between the eyes. I'd be like, okay, well, at the risk of sounding inconsiderate, please don't take it that way. Brian, what the fuck are you doing here? Aside from helping your dad get on Zoom. And he'd be like, oh, yeah, I want to learn or something. Like, I want to be a fly on the wall. Get Brian to say why he's there so that it can validate to what's his face, Tim, why he's there. That way you can establish those rules, if you will, and those roles out loud right at the beginning. And also, you're calling the elephant out in the room. Like, okay, Tim, you helped your dad onto the Zoom. It's like, why are you here, Doug? I'm happy to have you here. I'm just curious. Like, what the fuck are you doing here? You know?
Okay, well, that could be a thing that we can possibly help with. So a good start to this meeting, Tim, is if you can tell me exactly a bit more about that. Like, kind of like how long you've been trading options, how's it been coming along. I mean, you mentioned some inconsistencies. If you can give me a bit of a background, that'll be a good way to start.
You know, I've been probably doing it for, I don't know, I've probably been fussing around with it for 10 or 15 years. And, you know, and I started out with selling covered calls, and then I had a lot of good things taken away from me. So I didn't like that anymore. And then I discovered doing cash
taken away from me
secured puts, and that's been a lot better for me.
Yep.
I like that a lot better. And, you know, and even though I, only choose underlines that I don't mind getting assigned, I still like it when I don't get assigned.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so so what I've been doing is I've been finding some stocks that are real, a lot of volatility and lots of premium, and focusing on them. And I like short-term, once a week, in and out once a week. So I like
doing that or more on more volatile stuff. Has that ever bitten you in the butt?
Yeah, kind of. Like today it did, because there's a stock that I've been fussing with. It's called Bloom Energy, and that's been very good. I mean, the premiums are really, really nice, and I have it because I was assigned it with a cash secured put at 115, and I got assigned $115, and I got assigned, and it went down to 85.
Oof.
And
this guy is an interesting character. He is the type who is a toe dipper, but he's also toe dipping with lots of money because he can.
Yep.
That will be an absolute stone between the eyes for him. If you just call that out at some point in the call, like, listen, Tim, with all due respect, you're being stupid. Like, yes, you have more money than most people to trade with. Fantastic. Like, good on you for living a good life and looking for ways to be able to make more money with it. But then also you're being stupid in that you're playing with the most volatile stocks, and you're just like hypothetically looking at the market and seeing what you like that day and trading that. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Imagine that you told younger version of Tim that before he made all that money. That's huge. So like, that call out, I think, needs to happen at some point. Just what I see so far.
What happens in the call is I do call him out on it, and I also kind of make himself call him out on it, because that's like what when I had that with this guy, the thing that took me by surprise in objection handling, I wasn't expecting any objections, because as you go deeper and deeper into the discovery, you're going to see the whole call is going to be like, yeah, I'm really effing up. That's kind of where the call is going to go. But what I want to ask you is, how rough do I go? Like, I know it's kind of from person to person, but do you reckon, let's say with somebody like this, I could use maybe words, because I know more talking rhetorically, but could I use the words like stupid or what the fuck am I doing? What are you doing? Like, how rough do you think I can go with my language and energy?
You can go as hard as you want if you match it with a soft side. That's the key. Like if you go really hard to one side of the spectrum,
Yeah.
don't be surprised if somebody follows you there.
Yeah.
But then they will end up following you there. And if there's ever a time where you need the other side, it won't happen. So you have to be able to have width rather than just going like, if this is baseline, rather than just going to the aggressive side, you have to match how aggressive you go with how empathetic you go or how soft you go, if that makes sense. Now, that puts something in my head. I want to look for those moments where you do that, but let's keep going through discovery.
More volatile stuff. Has that ever bitten you in the butt?
Yeah, kind of. Like today it did, because there's a stock that I've been fussing with. Is called Bloom Energy, and that's been very good. I mean,
I would also personally just make the discovery a lot more pointed. As soon as he says that he's not consistent, okay, what do you mean by not consistent? How long has that been going on for? How much are you making with trades? You know, what are you doing outside of trading to support that? So like all of that stuff, rather than just give you a bit of background on what's going on. I used to do that in sales. And then as soon as I swapped it for more pointed and like guiding the discovery a bit more, I immediately made more money and my calls were a lot shorter.
$115.
Where does this inconsistency come into place?
Well, I don't know. I don't feel confident that, basically what I'm looking at is, I'm looking at, gut feeling type moves.
Yeah,
And,
not surprised.
and I look at, if the stock is up on a certain day, it looks like a good conditions to sell a covered call, or when the stock is down, it looks like good conditions to sell a put. And but I like to just focus on just a few stocks that I wouldn't mind getting and that have high volatility. But I made quite a bit in the last few weeks, in the past few months. But like I say, I get assigned enough too. Maybe I'm too aggressive, probably.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that come into play, right? And like another thing that you mentioned is you like doing volatile tickers. And at a certain point, if you do a lot of those, it doesn't matter how aggressive you are, you're just bound to get assigned. But if you look, just for a reference point as to how successful we actually are at this, if you look at 2025, the most recent year, what are your returns looking like if you have an estimate? Tim, do you think you made 20%, 30, 40, 50 of your capital, or what would you kind of guess?
No, I don't trade that because I'm 70. I will be 70 in a couple of months, and I got quite a chunk saved up, so I don't risk a huge ton of it. But
what is this guy afraid of? Can anybody say? Can anybody see it? He just said it without saying it.
Losing his retirement fund?
Bingo. That's his biggest fear. And that's what stops him from going all in, Velko, to your point.
Can you, Christian, please repeat? I just went to the restroom for like 30 seconds.
Yes.
Thank you.
This guy just said, I'll back it up a little bit. Let's see.
You're just bound to get assigned. But if you look, just for a reference point as to how successful we actually are at this, if you look at 2025, the most recent year, what are your returns looking like if you have an estimate? Tim, do you think you made 20%, 30, 40, 50 of your capital, or what would you kind of guess?
No, I don't trade that because I'm 70. I will be 70 in a couple of months, and I got quite a chunk saved up, so I don't risk a huge ton of it.
Okay, so I asked everybody, what is this guy afraid of? And who said it?
It was me.
Perfect. So say it again. What is he afraid of?
Losing his retirement fund.
Bingo. That's biggest fear. Now, I would bet that there's something beyond that he's actually more afraid of, but that's what's top of mind for him. And that's what causes him to not want to risk a lot. Let's keep going. Let's see what he says next.
So, but I am taking pretty, a small percentage is still a pretty nice bet, so I haven't measured it that way.
Oh, so that's what I was about to ask you. Are you taking this serious enough to the point where you have measured exactly what you made on that small percentage, or not yet?
Not yet, no.
You can probably, Velko, instead of asking for like just a general estimate of how much he's made over the past year, just go straight to the point and say, how much exactly have you made over the last year? If you just go straight to very precise numbers, it will very quickly force somebody to realize that they don't know their numbers or give you the exact numbers that you want in the first place anyway.
Are you taking this serious enough to the point where you have measured exactly what you made on that small percentage, or not yet?
Not yet, no. I just kind of go through my transaction history and kind of add it up mentally, but I don't turn it into a business where I keep track of it.
You probably could.
You just
you probably should. Thanks, Brian.
Oh yeah, the history, yeah.
You just look at it. It's more green or red, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't feel like I need to ask you this, but I am gonna anyway. Instead of guessing or assuming, why not just ask you? Do you think you'd be better off if you had an exact idea as to what you're making and losing, so that you can track your progression?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I probably should start doing that.
Yeah. Whenever I talk to people, and also just
I would have, instead of like, that's generally it's a low pressure question in order to get somebody to realize they should be tracking things. But I would rather ask, how long have you been trading for and how long have you not been tracking things? Because that will open up a bigger, more concrete wedge,
Mhm.
and it will get somebody to realize the next kind of thought process is, oh shoot, over that much time, how much have I actually made or lost? I don't even fucking know.
Mm.
And that is sometimes even scarier than knowing exactly how much you lost, is I don't even know how much I've lost.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't feel like I need to ask you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I probably should start doing that.
And then, he says, I should start doing that. Should, would, could, may, might, must, can, could, like worst words you can hear from prospects.
Yeah. Whenever I talk to people, and also just so that both of you guys know, just in the way that I speak when I present the
Sure.
program to people and ask them about their situation, I'm very direct. So I don't want you to, God forbid, mistake it for arrogance. I know we just got to know each
I would add that in your frame personally if I were you, because
I
yeah,
was
you
thinking
are a
of
pretty
doing that,
direct person.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I would just
So just
introduce
add it in the
yourself.
frame and then just blast them the whole call.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You can say like, hi, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Velko. I work with Matt's team here on Market Moves. Just a little disclaimer, like at the risk of sounding inconsiderate, please don't take it that way. I'm extremely direct. It's just my culture. I'm Eastern European, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to do my best to kind of guide you through the conversation and see what's going on, see where you'd like to make money, all that kind of good stuff. But if I ever come across as too direct, like, please just let me know.
Okay. Each other, but I always like to be more to the point type style. Whenever I talk to people, there are some people who track their trades. There are some people that don't. And I feel like it always comes back to how seriously is a person taking this topic, right? Because like, for example, if somebody comes and tells me, hey, Velko, these are the exact returns that I want to achieve. This is what I'm making right now. These are the exact percentage.
While you're being very direct, Velko, you're also not at the same time, which is interesting. So when you say things like that, so let's see. If somebody comes in and tells me, blah, 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 I talk to some people. There are some people who track their trades, and there are some people that don't. Like, what is it that you're really thinking there?
Yeah, so if you let it play through the whole thing, what I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna do here is more try to do an identity way to ask him as to what his goals are, right? So I
Sure.
created these two personas, and I was gonna say persona 1 never gets shit done. Persona 2, which I think is gonna be you, Tim, if you make a change, woohoo, they get stuff done because they have big goals. Are you the same? Kind of impossible for him to say no, right? That's kind of what I was going for.
You can, but I would also say you can skip all of that. Like this guy, even as like sophisticated as he seems, he's not. When you look for somebody who is quote unquote sophisticated, if you will, it's more so somebody who's aware of and resistant to a sales process versus not.
Yeah,
Like I know
he's
I
not-
can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know I can tell you this, Velko. Everybody else, this might be slightly advanced for you. Everybody talks about prospects who are sophisticated versus not, or like well-off prospects versus not, or pain aware, or like really what it is prospects who are aware of and resistant to the sales process versus ones who aren't.
Yep.
Because as an example, like somebody might call me a sophisticated prospect, right? I have millions, I know sales, all that kind of good stuff. But I am not resistant to the sales process. I was on a sales call the other day, paid $35K in full. Like, who the fuck cares? I don't even know half of what it does. But it's because I'm not resistant to the sales process. So this guy doesn't seem to be very resistant to the sales process, which means you don't need to actually treat him as a quote unquote sophisticated prospect. You just tell him what he needs to know. So this part, for example, instead of saying, Tim, there's some people that track their results and some people who don't, and blah, blah, blah. Just say the people who don't track their results in trading inevitably lose money.
Yeah.
Do you track your results? No. So do you want to lose money? No, I don't. Okay. So what do you feel like you should do? Track my trades. Why haven't you? How long have you known that you should be tracking your trades but not been doing it? Does that make sense? It'll open up the wedge so much more quickly and so much more concretely. But let's see what comes next.
Right? Because like, for example, if somebody comes and tells me, hey, Velko, these are the exact returns that I want to achieve. This is what I'm making right now. These are the exact percentages, dates, etc. Those people tend to be more serious because they have a very precise goal. Now, being at your age, Tim, and doing this for so many years, would you classify yourself as a person that actually has a goal and a thing that they want to achieve with trading? Or how would you kind of classify the reason as to why you're even doing all of this?
I like doing it. And I would like to.
Every trader.
I would like to get to where I retire here, and I could retire, but to offset my income by just doing this for a few hours a week, which I would like to do, because I don't want to be honest with you, I don't want to touch my principal. I want to just generate income off of this thing, and not change my lifestyle.
Yeah. So because again, if you retire sooner, that income goes away, and
Velko?
a very quick incision. Am I
Mhm.
reading it too deep, or because this is my thought? When somebody says, "Oh," and if I'm being honest with you, when I hear that, it always tells me, okay, this person is not going to be honest with you most of the call.
Not
Am I
always.
reading too deep, or
Yeah, I'll say certain sales trainers have beat that into people a little too much. Sometimes it's just a turn of phrase.
yeah,
Sometimes it's just
that's
things
why I'm
people
asking
say.
you. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah. I would pay attention to see if he uses it often or if
Mhm.
that's the only time. That's
Mhm.
generally you wanna look for if you're wondering if one thing means another thing, it's something called attribution error. So, for example, say, like, the prospect crossed his arms at a certain point. Um, it could be because he feels a little more closed off or defensive towards something you said, or
Or
it
he's
could just be because the AC just turned on above him and he's cold,
yeah,
right? So you wanna look for clusters and, repeated behaviors for certain things in order to know whether it's real or not.
yeah.
So,
Like
yeah.
for
I like
example,
doing
we're
it.
having emotional conversations, and that's when he does that, like stuff like that of that
Yeah,
nature. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
And I would like to, I would like to get to where I retire here, and I could retire, but to offset my income by just doing this for a few hours a week, which I would like to do, because I don't want to be honest with you, I don't want to touch my principal. I want to just generate income off of this thing,
Why not?
and not change my lifestyle.
Yeah. So because again, if you retire
Yeah, but why not touch your principal? Why is that so important to you?
sooner, that income goes away. And as you mentioned, if you don't have a strategy that's increasing your principal significantly, then you have to.
So notice again, and this is a big theme that I'm seeing more and more, Velco, is whenever they say something that even that you don't necessarily like, you still kind of go with it for a moment, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But I would say with this guy, I don't think it's the best. I don't think
Just
it's the best way.
remove
So
it
when you
straight
say,
into the next thing.
yeah, so because again, if you retire sooner, that income goes away, blah, 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 blah. Like if you want those things said in the conversation, you got to get him to say it and not you.
I have a question on that,
Mhm.
or like just like noticing it.
Mhm.
Do you feel like maybe Velko's doing it because the son is in the room as well, and he doesn't want to like point him out for like making the father seem weak in front of his son?
Maybe Velco.
Well, I'm here. Yeah, you can ask me. No, it's a weird thing that I started doing on almost all of my calls, no matter really what the prospect is, that when they say what I would like to say is a good point, as in, hey, I want to do this because it will allow me to do that. I always use that as a bridge into my next question, and I thought it was a good thing to do because it's like, okay, it reinforces him thinking about the good stuff. But if I think about it deeper, it really doesn't matter, like at all, right? So
Right.
that's the only
So
thing that I had in my mind.
so Velco, you're on the right track. You're thinking of the right thing. Number one, just real quick on a pause. You got to go at the top of the hour, Velco. I'm sure you have a call booked.
Yes, in 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll keep this really short. Let's just make this the last bit,
Yep.
because this is going to be really good training for everybody. If you want to reward somebody's behavior, it has to produce a chemical reward in their brain. You
Mm.
cannot just like say words at somebody and give them a real reward. It would be like, for example, let's say that you made 50K in a month, Velco, right? Let's say
Mm.
that you go to somebody who makes 10K a month and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Velco, fantastic, great work." Does that really make you feel very good? Or is it just kind of like, sure,
Yeah,
thanks,
thanks, buddy.
bud.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Versus if you hear that from somebody that you respect and that maybe even makes more money than you and that's helping you make more money, and they're like, "Hey, dude, you're on the right track. Keep it up." They don't
Yeah, if
even
you
have
tell
to
me
say
that, I'm
like as
gonna
big
freak
of
out.
words,
Yeah.
but when they say that, chemical reaction. The chemical is what creates the change. So I want you to think about this like my favorite way to look at behavior and all this kind of neuroscience-y stuff is actually not in humans because humans are a bit complicated. Look at it in animals, right? Have you ever been to a show where they have these animals that do all these sorts of tricks?
Me personally, no, but
No.
I can
Okay.
imagine. Yeah.
Have you seen them like
Yes, of
on
course. On
online or
YouTube and
anything?
stuff. Yeah,
So as
crazy
soon as
stuff.
the animal does something good, what do? They give them a
Treat.
treat, right?
Yep.
Now treats are food which release dopamine in the brain.
Yep.
Dopamine immediately. So what you have to do is not just say like an affirmation of what they said and saying that they're on the right track, but you have to figure out, will what I say actually release the right chemicals in the brain. So as an example, with this guy, what does he value? He values being risk averse. He values making smart decisions, it seems like. And so that's how I might do it. Instead of saying all this stuff that you said, say something like, yeah, exactly. That's one of the smartest ways to go about life, is figuring out how you can get an outcome sooner. Right? So when I say that's one of the smartest ways to look at life, he values being smart. He values making smart decisions. And so therefore chemical produced. Same thing for the opposite side of things. If you want to punish a certain behavior or them not do it again, you have to go against that. So maybe I would use words like dumb or idiot, or remember when I said stupid earlier, for a reason. Does that make sense?
Fuck, yeah. You're really
So
good.
it's not just willy-nilly words. It's words that they resonate with and that they view as will get them in a better place, that will produce good chemicals or bad chemicals. That's all that humans are. Every human is a drug addict. It's just learning to become a drug dealer. We'll post that short. Everybody will be like, what the fuck?
There you go.
Tails Dojo, we're all drug dealers. All right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Sweet. All right. Any final questions you have, Elko, before you bounce? And then I'll open up questions for everybody else.
What would you say? I know it's hard to say. I know it's a very broad question.
No, it's not.
So what would you say out of the little that you've seen of how I do things I would need to focus on or improve on the most on a more of a broad term?
I would say be more direct, number one. Number two, don't affirm and bridge everything that a prospect says in discovery. And number three, base your discovery more in concrete numbers and behaviors that are happening presently or in the past, rather than ideal potential futures, because then that gives you a solid foundation for the rest of the call, rather than a foundation that's built on sand, which is like hopes and dreams and potentially and ideally and that sort of stuff. Make sense?
Makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, dude. Sounds good. Go crush it. Anybody else? I will open up to Q&A now. See, dude. Any questions before we bounce? We got 2 minutes. Any realizations, any takeaways as well?
I think for me, like, I know I came in a little later, but it sounds like from what I saw, and I didn't see the beginning, but like really digging first into the whole as to like, why are you not doing that, as opposed to like painting a vision of like, okay, yeah, some people do this, but a better way to do it is this, as opposed to being like, okay, well, why aren't you actually using the principle? Like, well, what would happen if you did do that?
There's
And
a
then
right
just
way
start-
to do things and you're not doing it, and you know you're not doing it. Why
Yeah.
not?
So clearly there's like a fear. I'm curious what the objection was at the end of the call, if it was just fear around investing or, you know, going on a different route.
Yeah, I bet the objection at the end of the call probably wouldn't be the real one. However, I would get to, so I mentioned this, and hopefully Velko watches this back because then he'll get this. This guy is afraid to lose his retirement fund, but I bet there's something that he's more afraid of. That is what will close the call for sure, if none of the other stuff is. So I need to know, what is he more afraid of than losing his retirement fund? It may be the idea that he's worked his whole life for this fund, and he doesn't want to feel like all of that work was for nothing. It may be that he doesn't want to be on his own as an old man and his kids can't take care of him. It may be because his dad had a very unhealthy final years of his life and it was really expensive and they weren't really able to pay for it. And so he doesn't want that to happen to him. There's something there. I need to know what that is. And I think Velko probably completely missed it just based on what
you would have dug a little deeper, like when he brought up that piece of retirement.
1000%. He's like, I don't want to touch my principal. Why? Why not? What's the significance of keeping your principal?
Right. And then once you get that, and I'm only asking this because I've been going through it quite a bit, is this where you would put in something like the deserve syntax because of what he's actually been, like what he might be, you know, missing?
The Dickens pattern, yes. Deserve syntax is consequence.
Right.
Yeah. Dickens pattern would be good. Femi, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, just a quick question. Because a couple of things you said. First of all, he's a toe dipper, but he has a gambling mindset as well. But then now that you say about the fear, the fact that he has his son there could be something related to the fact, like I said, the fear of being alone.
Yeah.
Perhaps, like you said, his dad was alone or his dad died alone, something like that.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Might very well be true. Might very well be true. People are often reactive creatures. So like if we experience something that we don't like, we will rubber band to the other side. And so, yeah, that might be why he has his son on the call, and just overall why he seems to be very close with his son, and why he bonds with him over trading, and why he wants him on the call, or why his son is on the call. Yeah, 100%. Anything else, you guys? Any final takeaways? Any final questions? All right. Sounds good. If you would post your takeaways in school, so you can always come back to it, so you can reference what this recording was. You got the date and everything. And so anybody else who sees your takeaway and they're like, ooh, that's good, they know where to find this call. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to find stuff like this. It just gets buried in the archives because there's so many hours of content. So if you can, I'd appreciate that. And anything you guys need, just shoot me over a message and enjoy your Tuesdays, all right? I'll see you guys on the outside.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Christian.
No problem.